Morning everybody. Hope you can see me okay, because it's that time of year now, isn't it? It's getting, it's 7:25 in the morning. It's still sort of dumpsy, isn't it? It's not properly light yet. Thanks if you watched last week, the Ace of Acorn final. We were on peg 12, if you remember. I think we were a little bit unlucky, weren't we, with that sludge and that coming into the peg. And I didn't really, large part of my game plan, as I mentioned in the video, was sort of fishing long across with pellets. I think we're a little bit unfortunate to get that sort of 17.5 metre reach on that. But that's fishing, and you've got to make the best of what you get. I still think that second was there, wasn't it? It was achievable. Another £13 is all we needed. So never give up, isn't it? First, well done Kev Perry. I don't think anybody was going to beat him on peg 5 on the day. Funnily enough, on the Thursday when we won the practice match, Kev had peg 5 then and messed it up a little bit, but good anglers learn from their mistakes, don't they? To draw it 2 days later again, he's not going to make the same mistake, so fair play to him. A worthy winner. So we're off this morning, down to Acorn again. It's the last one of the Summer League. So we'll go down the bridge, have a bit of breakfast as usual. So thanks for joining us, everybody. So straight across on hard pellets, but nothing else across really. That first one you seen, we threaded our top kit back through our keep net skillfully, obviously. We had to wait 5 minutes for that, and it seemed very cold across. So I just tried the bottom of the shelf, earlier than we wanted to. I've put a few maggots in there, so I just thought we'd have a little look in there. So nothing there, so we accurately feed it on our little bit of tape line there on our pole with a few more maggots, then back across. So we've gone with plan B across now, and we've gone away from hard formulas. We're still putting a hard formula in the pot in the band, but we're using micros in the pot. And then we go from micros in the pot and a hard pellet on the hook to micros in the pot and a expander on the hook. So we've gone down through sort of 3 of our little stages already, and finally we get a bite. But we're like an hour and a quarter in now. It's been that difficult. Early days. Peg 4 on my left with Tom Fick is he's catching down the middle on maggots. Just flicking a few maggots at the float and sort of trying to catch down through the water column and on the deck and that, and it might be the right thing early, to be fair, but it's hard to judge because although it's a peg that's right next to me, 4 is a good peg and it's next to peg 5, which is an absolute screamer. 3 and 2 aren't that great, and then peg 1 to me right, 2 pegs to me right, is an M peg again. It's not an M peg like 5, but it's a sensible peg. So no rush on this fish, no matter what size it is. It's a carp, but there's certainly no rush. Not with being one fish in the old spout sack and we're like an hour and a quarter in the match. That's for sure. I expect things to get better though, and we've still got plenty of tricks up our sleeve yet. I wanted to really try and catch across. And when you see that Tom isn't really fishing right across, nor is Jeffrey on my right, and it's just me across there, that tells you a little bit about just how hard it is fishing in general. That's a little fatty, isn't he? So nothing more across. So we go back on the deep maggot line. We did have to wait quite a bit. As per usual, we cut out the sort of boring waiting sort of time, but we have managed to hook one there. Not quite sure what it is yet, but yeah, little carp, I think. So that short line straight in front, because it's 5 foot and I'm expecting the wind to get up a little bit today, I'm using a 4x14 on that line. 018 main line, 014 hook length, and we've lightened up our hooks now. We've come away from our sort of Tubertini 175s and that now, and we've gone to a Guru LWG spade end, 6-inch hook length, size 18 hook, but I'm using grey hydro, which is quite heavy for an 18 hook, but at the same time it's not, it is quite forgiving, isn't it? And that's how I want it to be. I want to be able to hook fish and then be able to swim away from where I've hooked them. Last thing you want is fish parading around where you're actually trying to catch them. So second cast on the tip, a little bit short of the boards that second cast, and that's quite often the case. They don't want to be right up against the boards. It's strange, isn't it? But yeah, we've got one. I actually sacrificed my rig across because I wanted to use that white hydro for another line at 14.5 meters. You've seen us feed it a little while ago, and that's in about oh, sort of 2 3/4 feet of water. So I felt there wasn't enough fish right in the very shallowest water, so I sort of sacrificed that rig. So I had to get the feeder out. This one felt a bit chunkier. Had a steady little run on the feeder, didn't we? It was about on the three from the casting point and the take, and all the takes have been good, like proper tips round jobs. No sort of going a little bit slack or double little dinks on the tip. It's been proper pull rounds, which is surprising. It's not normally like that down here. And yeah, we've probably had, I don't know, eight or eight or nine, I think, on the feeder. In what, probably 40 to 45 minute spell, which is all right, isn't it? It's been 3 minutes from the cast to the take, and then of course you're playing the fish, reloading your feeder, chucking out, etc. And the feeder setup is exactly the same as one of my previous videos, and here's a link. Nice and simple setup, especially for like little short chucks. So yeah, as I say, that's probably number 8 or 9, and it's sort of pulled us back into the game a little bit. They haven't been big fish, but I think those 8 or 9 fish have probably gone 30, between 30 and 35 pound, which has been handy. Maybe a little bit more, maybe between 30 and 40 pound, I should say. So it's gone all right. It's gone a little bit slower now, and with only sort of an hour and 45 left, I've started priming those short maggot lines. So the run on the feeder sort of went. So I went on the maggot line, and we've got a skimmer. Which is okay. It sort of shows something's travelling up the shelf to sort of find the bait, but really we want carp. And at last, that's a bit of a settler, isn't it? So the usual, look, as soon as we've hooked one, we throw some maggots in, but we're not chucking in those summer styled, or 3 weeks ago how we were chucking maggots in, two sort of handfuls behind hooking a fish. It's just one little pinch of maggots. Not going so mad, but still trying to keep everything nice and tight. The rigs are 4B12, strung out with, I think it's 5 number 9s. But I use shot, not stop, so don't want nothing moving. I crimp them on quite hard and then move them up from the line I've crimped them on with. And then they stay still, they don't tend to move around. It's a bit of a bagging rig, we don't want to be messing about with our shot. So Tom on my left and Brian on peg 5 to my left, 2 pegs away. They've both caught quite a bit more than me really in those first sort of 4 hours. So they got a little bit of a lead, but I feel like that little run on the feeder and they catching one on the maggot line, we're heading the right way. So nothing else actually on this line, so I went down the edge for 5 minutes and nothing, which doesn't surprise me with the limited amount of room we have. So I went back out on the maggot line, waited a couple of minutes, and then we got this one. And this feels a bit heavier. We're not running off, just using his weight, just wallowing in here a little bit, just under the surface. Look, if you hold your top kit low, the fish tend to come up to the surface. When you hold your top kit high, they dive down. That's why I don't hold my top kit high until I want to scoop that fish, land him. So again, same sort of setup as well. Still 014. Bit bigger hook now because we come at that little bit shallower water. I'm using a 16 hook, but an LWG spade end on that is a nice fish, isn't he? Real, yeah, nice fatty. And an 018 main line, as I say, 4B12 hook, float, and about 5 number 9s, I think it is. Crimped on, so nothing can move. 2 number 8 back shot as well. Oh, that's a nice fish. Start catching a few of them and it won't take long to catch people up. Oh, lovely. Oh yeah, he's proper fat. So I've plumbed up another line to the right as well as that left hand maggot line, exactly the same depth as that, just coming up the shelf again. And the reason is, a little while back when we were on the island, I don't know if you can recall this, but it was a bright day, a bit like today. Less wind, to be fair, it was quite flat, but I do recall as the day went on, my shadow cast across the line we were catching on, and as soon as that happened, the line died. So I've made that right hand line just in case that happens. And also, if it slows, which it has straight away, look, now we're back on a skimmer again, I can flick round to the right here and I can try and fish 2 lines and just see if we can. Oh, lovely, nothing like it, is there? Watching your float go under, absolutely love it. So yeah, and grey hydro again, by the way, grey hydro, same as we were sort of on the other short line. Anything longer than 2+2 or anything like that now this time of year, we just step down to white hydro, etc. And soon down the middle here, in the deeper water, I'd probably be going down the blue hydro. So that's a bit of a settler to catch one on that right hand line at last, just to know that there's an odd fish there to be caught, so we can rest that predominant line, if you like, that sort of left hand line, our best line, isn't it? So I can drop in on that right line if I don't catch on that left, which is just ideal. great run on those short maggot lines, isn't it? And I'm quite surprised, to be honest. Didn't really expect that, being pegged so tightly here on the island. Um, yeah, so just think we just sort of picked the right depth. We did pick a shallower line further up as well, but it's not really happened, which is kind of stopped me going to the edges as well. I mean, Tom's had a couple down his left hand edge, as had Jeffrey on my right. He's had a couple, but they've had to wait a long time for him. And the maggot line were catching on his way quicker. You've got to look at people around you a little bit just to know, to know how you're doing, and use people to gauge things a little bit. So some bites are typical maggot bites. Did you see that one? Just the tiniest of sort of dinks. Those sort of small bites are quite often the bigger fish as well. And that's typical maggot fishing really for carp. It's a nice ghosty, isn't it? But what happens is with maggots, they just feed in a totally different way than pellets and such. And I've said this before, they tend to start moving a lot slower. They move a lot slower and just sucking that maggot quite gently. So your kit has to be a little bit more refined, and you want to strike at everything. So in the league itself, I will tell you, in the league itself, we end up third, which I was very pleased with because I felt that was the best we could possibly do after today's result. We ended at third. I was actually ended at only 1 point, which is one place behind Matty Hamilton. Um, so I was a little bit gutted, sort of realised I possibly could have had second, and Gareth won it. It was an outright winner, but I left sort of Martin Ray and Martin Thomas quite away behind on the day. So well happy with third. Keep your eyes peeled now towards the end to see what the results were of the actual day. And this was an Acorn Ace of Acorn qualifier again, but for next year, believe it or not. So we could have possibly qualified as well, to be honest. But I was pretty happy with the result, really. From where we were as well, I was over the moon with it. So we were the best weight on the island as well. So stay tuned.